Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions, Part 3. And in today's episode, we're unfortunately not going to be doing anything very exciting. We're not going to be fighting any battles. I'm going to go over some of the basic information here. For example, party management, moving, etc. So this is the world map, as we saw at the end of the last episode. And as the game described, you can move the cursor onto one of these dots and hit the X button and you will move to them. Right now we only see red dots. Red dots indicate story-wise this is where you're supposed to go. Sometimes they can indicate side quest-wise this is where you're supposed to go too, but I believe there's only one instance of that. We are also standing, you can't see it, but it is a blue dot, which indicates that we are standing on a town. So from here, we can hit the triangle to bring up the menu. And we can use move to move to a different location on the map. This is another alternative way of moving. You can hit X and see the different places. You can also get some information. For instance, that Igros Castle is home to Duke Lard, its lord. This city is second in size only to the royal city of Lazalia. We can see Garland, for instance, is home to the Royal Academy for the Magical Arts. Famous for producing Elidibus, mage hero of the 50 Years' War, and the Mandalia Plain, which is large limestone spires protrude from this plain like the fangs of a great beast. You can also manage our party here, which is allows you to adjust equipment, assign abilities, change jobs, or even dismiss units. Chronicle is a chronicle of the various events that you have encountered on your journey. There's a couple different things in there that I'll be showing off. There is the tutorial, again, which shows you how to play the game, which is what I'll be doing. Data, which is where you can save and load. And then options, which you can use to adjust certain things such as message speed and cursor movement. I'm actually going to really quick change a couple of things here, just to my preferences. I like to turn off display unequipable items and optimize on job change. Cool. All the rest I like to leave default. But if you're curious about what any of them do, you can just hit select on them and it'll tell you. Let's go ahead and check out the party roster first. So here we could actually take a look at the units that we have available to us. We can also see our guests. You can change the abilities of guests, learn new abilities for them, change their job class, change their equipment, etc. So they're exactly like party members, except you can't use them in random battles and you can't control them in the party, or in the story battles, not in the party battles. Party battle, that would be kind of fun. But alright, so if we select the unit, we can see some details, we can see what they know. But if you hit triangle, it brings up another menu. So there's the equipment page where we can change their equipment. And there is the abilities page where we can assign abilities, remove, or go to learn new abilities. So what you can assign is you always have the job that you are. You always have that set of abilities, action abilities available to you. But you could set a secondary action ability from any other job class that they have unlocked. There's also reaction abilities you can learn, which will happen after certain triggers, such as taking hit point damage or a physical attack coming at you. You may have a chance to block it. There's also I forget what those are called, but those are like I think those are passive abilities, which are just abilities that are essentially in effect all the time. So those are things like equip change, or change equipment, as you saw, is one of those from the chemist class, which could also be something like defend, which doubles your evasiveness when an attack is coming in, or it could be something such as gain JP up, which is a passive ability and increases the amount of JP that you gain per action. There's also movement abilities, which can be things like increasing your movement speed, increasing your jump speed, allowing you to walk on certain types of terrain that you normally cannot traverse, etc. So really quick, I'm just going to set ROMs up with items as a second ability, because that's a very nice one for you to have. Right now we don't know any reaction abilities, might as well put re-equip on there, and then movement abilities. So let's see what we could do with the learn menu here. So we can see the job classes that he has available. He has Squire, which is serves as the foundation for all others, forming the first step on the road to becoming a mighty warrior. This modified version of the Squire job does not allow axe use, but does permit robes. So typically the Squire job class will be able to equip axe-type weapons, but Ramza's cannot. However, he gets in exchange for that robes, which can be pretty nice if you want to give him magic as a secondary ability. Ramza is a unique case in that he does not know any abilities except for chant when you first get him, so you really have the chance to mold him how you want him to be. I'm going to go ahead and invest in JP Boost right away. They did change some of the ability, well obviously they changed a lot of the ability names between the PlayStation 1 and PSP version. They did also change some of the JP requirements for those abilities. In the PlayStation 1, JP Boost only required 200 job points, for instance, and in this one it requires 250. So now that we've learned that, we can go back and assign that if we want to. And we can see that he also has the Chemist class unlocked, which is an expert in the use of items to recover hit points or remove vexing status ailments. They have an innate ability to throw items, which allows them to throw items with an increased radius, even if not a chemist. So if you're not a chemist and you have item equipped, such as Ramza does right now, you'll only be able to use it next to units that you're standing next to. If I could English right, that would be amazing. Nah, but seriously though, the next class that he has is the Knight. So it's a brave and chivalrous warrior of unmatched skill, uses a knight's sword to unleash the arts of war. So knights are more around, you can lower enemies' stats or rend their equipment, which is breaking it permanently or removing it from the battle. They also have the nice parry ability. And I'll go over more what abilities do as I either encounter them, so they're used against me, or as I learn them and go to use them. So there's the Archer class as well, which is equipped with a bow and arrow. This warrior provides valuable long-range attacks, may aim for higher damage. So let's learn some Chemist abilities since we're using that class. So we already picked up a potion and antidote from that crystal. Now we'll go ahead and learn Phoenix Down. And just really quick antidote, of course, removes potion, and then we're going to hold on to these 81 job points for something else. I don't believe that anybody else would have access to anything else, but really quick here, I'm just going to go to Maith, where he wasn't in the battle, just to show the description for the regular Squire job class, forming the first step of the road to Mighty Warriors. So yeah, they can use axes, but cannot use robes. So then we also have the job menu, which changes the unit's job, monster units, which you can acquire monsters into your party. There is a unit that is able to do, or a job class that's able to do that for you. They can't change jobs. But here you can kind of see a wheel of all of the jobs unlocked. So somebody did unlock White Mage and Black Mage, but Ramza cannot do this. Also, the currently selected job will show up here. Or, will be grayed out. But this is where you would change your job. So if I select Chemist, he's now a Chemist, etc. It does also show you the prerequisites. So for instance, to become a White Mage, you need to become a Chemist level 2, same with a Black Mage, so that's nice. Really quick, let's just, I believe it's probably going to be you since you were the Chemist, yeah, so... You have the White Mage, which was formerly called the Priest, which is a warrior who taps into the powers of the Divine, using white magics to cast spells of recovery and protection. And Black Mage, Black Mage, which is a warrior who uses black magic to channel elemental powers into powerful offensive spells. Magic is not as good in this game as it is perhaps in other games, but it can be very powerful early on. It's the late game where the power tends to drop off a little bit. You can also try to dismiss a unit, however, if you try to dismiss Ramza, I am a Beowulf. I cannot turn my back on all this. Yeah, you can't get rid of Ramza. But, say Maith, we could if we wanted to, and they have little funny quotes. Won't you rethink this? We've come this far together. Alright, I'll rethink it. Let's see what the leader says when I try to dismiss him. I will not leave your side. We're friends, are we not? Yeah, yes we are. You can also... Or is it... Ah, okay, there we go. I have to hit select. There, on this screen. You can also take a look at this. So this is the unit's roster number. You can have up to 24 units in your party at any time. If you dismiss a unit, that unit's number becomes available again. The next unit to join will take on that number. And this is a change from the original. The original, I don't remember the exact number, but you could have less units in your party. And actually, I think it was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, it was 6 less, if I'm remembering correctly, which would mean you had 18 units. In this game, they increased it so that way you can keep... Actually, no, it might have been a little bit less, because I think they added 1 at least. No, yeah, that's right. They added 2 characters in this version that were not in the PS1 version. So they allowed you to keep your original cast, which the PS1 version did not, plus those 2 additional characters that you get. So back here. So if you click on the name of the unit, you get a little quote. So be aware of your unit's turn order at all times, such as the swiftest path to victory. I think he always says the same thing. Or at least in this act he does. But if we say go on a squire, they say different things based on their class, I believe, and sometimes their name. So I dreamt it was raining arrows in the slums of Dorter. Foreshadowing, maybe. Actually, that's kind of funny. I've never really looked at these too much. Optimizing equipment, the weapon with the highest attack power is equipped first, so not always the best one. What do you say, Little John? Pray leave me be. Well. Alrighty then. What do you say, Rosa? Be sure you are well stocked with potions. Always a good bit of advice. If only a handsome gentleman could accompany me. Alrighty then. Brahms is not handsome enough for you? Carmella, what do you say? I am deeply nervous. Alrighty then. You can also again check the description of the class. You can check what zodiac sign they are, and what's nice is this will show you the compatibility now. If you know the zodiac signs, or the written signs, then you can get a good picture of this, but it'll also tell you here what is good compatibility, what is poor compatibility, and the best worst. You also can check their bravery, so this number indicates how brave the unit is, and the higher the number, the more valorous the unit is, and this has impacts on certain damage calculations. Certain types of weapons are based on your brave stat. Your brave stat also affects how often your reaction abilities trigger. So essentially, Ramza has 70 brave, he has a 70% chance of his reaction ability triggering when that trigger happens. You also have faith, which represents a unit's belief in magics and spiritual phenomenon. A higher number indicates deeper faith. The higher your faith stat is, the more damage your magic attacks will do, the more effective your status effect magics will be. But in addition to that, the higher amount of damage you will take from magic attacks, and the more effective status effects will be on you. There is also something to be cautious about. If a unit's bravery drops too low, they will essentially become a coward and leave the party, and if their faith becomes too high, they will be too pious to continue on with you, and will leave to lead a life with the church. So that's something to be careful of. You don't have to worry about that with Ramza, so you can max out his faith without any worry, and you could absolutely obliterate his bravery if you want to without any worry. He will always remain in the party. Same thing with guest characters. And just really quick to show off equipping, because I didn't really show it. So you can see here, you have right and left hands. Characters are not right or left-handed, so it doesn't matter which hand you equip in for them to be effective. So you can equip something in the right hand, something in the left hand. If you equip a two-handed thing, obviously you can't equip something in both then, and it changes the display a little bit here. You can equip something on the head, and you can equip something on the body, and an accessory. Now in Final Fantasy Tactics, equipment does not lower the amount of damage that you take. Instead, equipment increases your hit points, which allows you to take more damage, which is a different take than what Final Fantasy had been doing previous to this. So it's a neat little step, or neat little change, and it actually allows level 1 characters to compete a little bit on some level with higher level characters, because if you can get new party members by hiring them, but they always start off at level 1, so leveling them can be a little bit of a pain. So that's, I believe, all there is in the party roster. Although there is actually, you can, I say that and then I remember. You can change how you look at them. So they can be sorted by their number in the party. You can do it by level, job, bravery, faith, max hit points, and max magic points. Go back to number. We also have the Chronicle, which again is various events. So we can take a peek in here. You can see how many people you... So the kills count is how many bodies have turned into... enemy bodies, rather, have turned into crystals or treasure chests. Casualties is how many of your own party members have turned into crystals or treasure chests. With this playthrough, if a character turns into a crystal or a treasure chest, and I go on to win the battle, I'm just going to continue with that loss and replace them with a new generic. Unless it would prevent you from showing an event later in the game. If that happens, then perhaps I will do a reset and just re-record the battle. You can also take a look at events here, which is a record of the events that have occurred thus far, along with recreations of actual scenes. So you can see the Knight's Apprentice. Select just shows the same thing here. But if we select it, it just gives us a summary of that cutscene we saw before the before the Garland battle. I was looking at the word galleon when I was saying that sentence. We also have Person A, which lets us look at the various people in the game. So we have a little description of Ramza that shows their age. Characters actually do age. Every time you move from dot to dot, a day passes in game time. And so remember how we set January 1st for Ramza. Every time January 1st comes, his age and this will increase. That doesn't actually have any impact on the game. Ramza could be 200 years old and still kicking. And still look exactly the same. So it's a nice little touch in a way, though, that they do that. Do take that into account. So Ramza, right now, he's a Knight Apprentice of the Royal Military Academy of Garland. House Beowulf has long been a respected military family and for generations has produced commanders of the Order of the Northern Sky, born to a different mother than his two elder brothers. So his two elder brothers are half-brothers. Ramza, the Great House's youngest son, harbors feelings of inferiority to his true-born siblings. Then there's Delita, which is Ramza's childhood friend and Knight Apprentice of the Royal Military Academy at Garland. Born to a farming family in the demesne of House Beowulf, Delita and his sister were taken in by the late Lord Barbaneth after losing both parents to the Black Death. Despite his low birth, he was allowed into the academy at Lord Barbaneth's request. He's also 16. And then we have Zalbag, who's 28. He's also a Beowulf. He's Lord Commander of the Order of the Northern Sky and holder of the title Knight Devout. Zalbag is the second eldest of the Beowulf brothers. His countless victories in the 50 Years' War led the late King Denamad IV to declare, quote, "The savior of Evilis is in Gallion, and his name is Beowulf," end quote. Zalbag is also a devout member of the Church of Lovers. We have Lord Dystarg. So Dystarg is the eldest Beowulf brother at age 37, and a military tactician in the service of Duke Larg, Liege Lord of Gallion. In accordance with the wishes of his late father, Lord Barbaneth, Dystarg ceded the position of commander of the Order of the Northern Sky to his brother Zalbag. So he was the leader of that order, and then he gave it to his younger brother. Instead, he became a strategist for Duke Larg, a friend of Dystarg's since childhood. Dystarg is Duke Larg's most trusted retainer. In addition to being a master tactician, it is also said that he is an expert swordsman well versed in the ways of magic. So Duke Larg, who was mentioned there, and also mentioned in the cutscene in the previous, actually in the first episode, he's the Liege Lord of Gallion and true-born brother to Queen Luveria, wife of King Ondoria III. House Larg is a branch of the Akasha royal family, and could trace its roots to King Denamad II. I'm just gonna butcher all these names, aren't I? Denamda II, the monarch responsible for the 50 Years' War. Duke Larg served as a general in that conflict, and today possesses command authority over the Order of the Northern Sky. So he's the head for the Order of the Northern Sky. We have Duke Ultana. He's age 56. He's the ruler of Zeltenia. Like Duke Larg, he is descended from the line of King Denamda II. the monarch responsible for the 50 Years' War. His standard is the Black Lion, one head of the royal family's twin-headed lion crest. He served as a general in the 50 Years' War and now controls the Order of the Southern Sky, one of the great knightly orders of Evilis. And then, so we have Queen Luveria, who is wife of King Ondoria III of Evilis and true-born sister to Duke Lark. So Luveria became queen at 20 years of age and gave birth to 3 sons. Her first 2 children died shortly after birth, leaving the infant Prince Ornus as the only heir to the throne. The king's ill health has left him distant from affairs of government, making the queen the de facto ruler of Evilis. So she's right now pretty much in command of the country. And that threw me off because Prince Ornus now appeared. So he's only 1 year old, and he's the 3rd son born to King Ondoria III and Queen Luveria. As the first 2 children died shortly after birth, Prince Ornus is heir to the throne of Evilis. Few among the citizenry retain faith in their current king, who rarely participates in matters of government, citing ill health. Most realize that the regent who governs in his place has the true power, who right now is the queen. So Ondoria III is the 18th monarch in the Atkasha line. Ondoria III was crowned king after Dhenamda IV's death from illness in the final days of the 50 Years' War, in stark contrast to his predecessor, who had led his own troops into battle. Ondoria III, I keep feeling like I'm saying that name wrong for some reason, has been sickly all of his life. In fact, many historians point to his poor health or poor leadership as one of the main factors in Evilis' defeat. And there's the Marquis Elmdor, who they mentioned, who's liege lord of Limberry. He battled fearlessly against the Ordalian army when it invaded Evilis in the latter days of the 50 Years' War. Hailed by friends as the Solar Prince for his bright metallic armor and long silver hair, he was feared by foes as the Silver Demon. He is a devout member of the Church of Clavados and an ordained inquisitor. There's Titra Herial, who is the Luna's sister, or his younger sister. Both are children of a simple farmer who lived and worked on land, so some more of the same information. Titra secretly worries about her brother, who has been sent to the academy. She is a dear friend of Alma Beowulf. Actually, it might not have been mentioned in Deletas, but yeah, their parents died from the Black Death. Yep, looks like somebody else appeared. Oh, Alma. So Alma Beowulf is the youngest of the 4 Beowulf children. Alma is Ramza's full sister, so she has the same mother as Ramza. She attends the Egros Preparatory Academy, and like her brother, was born of a different mother than the elder Beowulf's siblings. Alma's bright and cheerful demeanor charms all those around her. Since birth, Alma has spent almost her entire life within a monastery, and has only recently returned to live in the Beowulf Manse. Because of their similar circumstances and closeness in age, she finds favor with Ramza over her elder siblings. So you only have 2 more to go here, unless someone else wants to pop up. We have Lord Barbanuth, and as you can see, there is no name next to him, which means he's deceased at this point in the story. So he's the former Lord Commander of the Order of the Northern Sky. Lord Barbanuth was hailed as Knight Gallant, the highest rank in all of knighthood. His countless victories helped to compensate for Evilis' inferior numbers in the 50 Years' War. Fear of this lord convinced Ordalia to agree to an equal peace, although Evilis had in fact lost. He died of malady at war's end. And we have Arazlam Durai, which is the guy up above. He's a modern-day scholar of medieval Evilisian history. He's well known as an archaeologist and theologian, and many recall the controversy sparked by his interpretation of the Durai Papers. He has penned such classic works as The Enigmatic War of the Lions, The True Saint of Jorah, and the Durai Papers, 400 Years of Truth. Oh, and it looks like somebody appeared somewhere. Maybe? It popped me... Oh, Saint of Jorah. There we go. So Jorah was born in the Lasallian city of Bervenia 12 centuries ago. Raised in Melados, he preached openly about the coming of paradise. This infuriated Ferist priests, and the Holy Eodoran Empire hanged him as a traitor. When Malond, the center of Faerist teachings, then sank into the sea, Ajora's disciples began to preach of his divinity, eventually forming the Church of Glabados, which we know that Zalbag is about member of. I believe that is everybody. So that's all the players that we know about right now. And I think that will be about it. We've been going on for almost 25 minutes here, so I think we'll call this episode a wrap. On the next episode, we'll go ahead and start our way to Igor's Castle. Thank you for watching Let's Play Final Fantasy Tactics, The War of the Lions, and I'll see you in the next episode.